Hi, good morning. I think it's already 10 minutes, 12 minutes past our scheduled time. We'll get started, okay? So before we begin, can we have a small introduction about uh, you, Jhansi, first, and then Shabya, and then I'll talk about me and the course. Jhansi, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Hello?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jansi. I live in Boston, Massachusetts. I did my master's in pharmacy and I have 4.5 years experience as an environmental analyst. As a mom for two young kids, I quit my job due to COVID. It gave me opportunity to learn new things. So I learned some of the software skills like Excel, SQL, Tableau. Now, I'm here to know the business and analyst. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Jhansi.
Yeah.
Hi, Shabya.
Yeah, hi. I have done my bachelor's in architecture, and this stream is like new to me. So I'm just trying to explore various streams.
Okay. So when you say you're trying to explore,
Yeah,
definitely you have something in your mind, right?
yeah.
Okay, sure. So yes, thank you again for joining this session. Welcome to the session. My name is Saurabh, and total I have about 19 plus years of experience. I've started my career as a developer, Java developer, SQL developer, and then slowly moved into business analyst. And as a business analyst now, I manage a team of business analysts. Okay. Um, So this course is going to be interactive. Okay, see, the business analyst course itself is boring in a way that it's all theory. Okay, but we'll try to make it more interactive by doing some mini projects kind of thing. Okay, so what I want from you both is that uh, do some kind of one thing is, of course, revise the lectures. I'll share the PDF, I'll share the links, uh, video links, but I want you to revise it, okay, and do those assignments which I'll give, okay. um, and here, it's something when we go through the course, right, and when I talk about something, you'll find it easy. You'll say, yeah, it makes sense and it's all logical and this. But then when you start doing it, that's when you face challenge. So if you practice with me right from day one, okay, I'm sure you will not have any problem. And when we end the session or we training, you'll be well versed with all the concepts. Okay, that's one suggestion. And I guess both of you are for healthcare domain training, right? Towards the end, we'll also have discussion on healthcare. What are different components of healthcare? Okay, how BA is used there. Okay, and we'll of course talk about the agile component of software development as well. BA is a good training, okay, for non-programmers to get into this domain. Okay, so this is a good domain or good um, um, way to get into IT domain. So what they expect from you, okay, as a business analyst, okay. So see, though it is IT domain, and that's what we're going to focus on, but the title of the course itself it says business analyst, right? It doesn't say IT analyst, right? So our focus has to be on business, okay. And the result is, how can we make IT, improve the business processes, okay. So from where does business analyst comes to picture? Business analyst comes to picture from business side as well, right? You have software developers and others who work day in day out developing, writing code, and developing the software, but they need guidance from business, right? So the software developers, they may not understand the business, they may not know, they know how to implement it, but they don't know what to implement it. Okay, so the what component or what part is what we are going to talk about, right? So I've structured this course into three parts. Okay, first is core BA, okay, activities. Then we'll get into the agile way of development and how business analyst uh, is work in agile domain. Now we need to understand the core BA job, right? So that's why the first component is important, because that will give you idea about what BA is about, right? But um, but then most of the projects these days are currently in uh, agile, so we need to understand the agile concept. So there you'll find some changes in the way we discuss first and when we discuss about agile, but the concept remains the same. Okay, concept remains the same. That is, you understand the business, you talk to the business team using the business language, right? And then you implement with the software development team. Okay, so you're not going to write code, you're not going to develop something, but you are responsible for getting it developed. Okay, and then we'll learn about the healthcare domain as such. Any specific questions you have for me for now? No? Any question? Any question before we begin? Sure. Okay, so I think first few slides you know, right, Nancy? So just bear with me.
Sure, yeah.
Shravya is new, so we'll talk about it too. Shravya, yeah. 1 second.
She's telling it's right. I have also attended your demo session last night.
Okay, so the first session, which probably will go on for 2 days, and I think we have session from Monday to Friday, right? That's what they told me. So we'll have Monday to Friday for almost like 1.5 hours session. Okay. Okay. So this is the first slide. Whenever I get opportunity to talk about business analyst, okay, this is what I show. Okay. If you see here this slide, okay, you have business process at the center, right? Business process is about the business itself, right? So if you are a hospital, it is about providing care to your patient. We're talking about manufacturing company, it is about producing the goods, okay? And when you talk about producing goods or giving the good care, you want it to be the best in class, right? You want to produce the best product that is possible. You want to give the best care to your patient, right? So those are the objectives, right? But what we are saying is that itself is not enough to sustain in the market. Okay, a business. Okay, see, this is given. Okay, you cannot succeed if you do not have good doctors, right? As a hospital, you cannot succeed. Okay, if you do not make good products, right? You have to make good products. You have to have best people in your team, but it is also important that you need to manage, you need to look at other things as well, because even that is not good enough for a company to survive, correct? For a business process, you have few input and you have few output, right? Because every company, okay, they need input. For example, if you talk about a manufacturing company, right, and let's say they make let's talk about Coke or Pepsi, that kind of company. So they need water as input. They need a sweetener. They need some of those items. They even need, say, bottle to pack, right? Labeling, all those things, right? So those could be the input, and they make the product and then pack it, and they have to ship it to the distributor, right? Who will again take it to the end consumers by taking it to retailers and things like that. So there's always some input to a process, and the process has to give some output, right? How good is your process input? okay, will decide how good is your output, right? But how do you decide what should be produced? Okay, so we say that every business has to operate under certain constraint. Okay, every business has to operate under certain constraints, and constraints are on both the sides, right? On the input side as well as on output side as well, right? On input side, it's we look at the competition, we look at the vendor, we look at the consumer, right? Competition is like who are the other companies who is doing the same kind of work, right? Now, I cannot produce a product which is lesser in quality than my customer, than a competitor, and charging more, right? Of course, every company decide to play in a certain area, right? Some says that okay, we want to give you the cheaper product, okay? So maybe the quality may not be great, but you're going to get it at a lower cost, right? Some companies say that we want to play at a higher cost level, okay? So the product would be great, okay? And as we know that, right? When you go to market, there are multiple products, whether you talk about phone, you talk about TVs, right? And every company has a niche area where they play, right? So as they decide what to play, right? They cannot give you lower quality stuff at a higher cost, right? Then they will not succeed. So it is important for your business to understand who are your competition, what is that they are bringing it on the table. I always talk about Nokia in such case, right? Nokia, once had 60-70% of market share, right? But they did not look at what their competition was doing. They missed the bus to bring smartphones, right? They had the best people, right? They had 70% market share, so you can assume that they could hire the best of the best people for their business process. They would have had the best processes, right? They would have had a lot of cash also to do it, right? But they simply ignored their competition, right? And all of a sudden, smartphones took over the market and Nokia was out. Until today, they are not able to go back to their glorious days, right? So that's important for a business. Vendor, they are the ones who's going to provide you the input, right? So if there's a problem in the water, right, the taste of Coke and Pepsi is not going to be the same, right? So it is important for the people in the sense the team of Pepsi and Coke to evaluate their vendor and see how good is their output, isn't it? Now, if output of the vendor, right? That means the input, which is so output of vendor is input to the business process, correct? So you need to evaluate how good is their output, which is your input, right? And if there's a problem, you need to raise it, okay? Because as I again said, right? If the water doesn't taste good, your Coke will not taste good. Maybe if this contaminated, it can result into some kind of health issues as well. So Pepsi cannot say, see, the water was provided by company ABC, and the problem was with water, so we don't take responsibility. Go and catch hold of ABC. No, right? When we buy a Pepsi labeled product, we expect Pepsi to do everything for us, right? We don't care who they buy from, who are their vendors, right? So it is a responsibility of Pepsi to look at their vendor and have a process to identify the quality that they're getting. And then ultimately, if you see the whole process, whole chain, okay, right from input to output, it's all cost intensive, right? When you do competitive analysis, when you evaluate vendor will charge you money, the process, everything is cost centric. Only one person in the entire chain who pays money is consumer, us. When we don't buy a product from the retail store, okay, then nobody in the chain is going to get money, right? Hospital, we have so many people, right? Nurses, staff, doctors, management, and so many people involved. But if we don't pay the bills, right, nobody will get the payment, isn't it? So consumer is the ultimate power, right? And if we don't pay, nobody in the chain will get money. As I said, right, everything is a cost intensive because everything is a cost for the company. And it is important for us to look at what consumer wants, right? If I want product A, you can say, oh, no, I want to give you product A, I'll give you product B, right? If they're going to give us product B, which we are not interested in, why would we buy it, right? So, so it is important for companies to look at, okay, to evaluate, to do, they do a lot of market surveys, research to understand the taste of consumer, right? Because it is important that we, they serve us so that they can make money. So ultimately, whatever work they do is for consumer, right? Now, consumer and customer, there is a slight difference. Okay, customer, okay, can be many people. Consumer is the one who consumes. Okay, so for example, if you go and buy a certain product from, say, Walmart for your house, okay, so then you are the consumer, right? Because you are going to buy and consume it, eat it, finish it, right? You are the last person in the chain. Now, let's say you own a restaurant, okay, and you buy this product from the Walmart and you make something in your restaurant to sell. In that case, you are customer of Walmart, but you are not the consumer, isn't it? You are not consuming it. Your customer is a consumer, right? So you are the customer for Walmart and you have a customer, right? So the last customer, okay, in the chain is called consumer, because there is nothing beyond that. There is no one beyond that. Okay, the last person is going to consume it, and they are the ones going to pay, right? So let's say when you buy something from Walmart for your restaurant, okay, you are paying money, right? And when only when somebody comes to your restaurant and eat the food, that's when you make money, isn't it? So consumer is the one who's giving you money, not your customer, right? Because customer, you know, is paying you or promising to pay you because they expect another customer to buy from them, isn't it? So that's what consumer. I'm talking about consumer, not the customer, right? For us, okay, we go and buy from Walmart, but it is the, say, Unilevers, or those manufacturing companies, they keep product which consumer will buy, right? They cannot think of Walmart as a customer. They have to think us as the customer, because we are going to buy the product, right? So they make product for us, isn't it? So it is important for you, any business you are in, to think of the last person who's going to pay, right? If the products are not good, why will Walmart buy from Unilever, right? They will go to somebody else, right? So Walmart will buy from Unilever only because people, okay, consumers are buying Unilever product from them. Simple. So you have to evaluate, you have to understand what consumer want. Okay. So these are some of the constraints on the input side. There are constraints on the input side. Similarly, you have some constraints on the output side, technology, right? Every companies, every business process have to look at the new technologies, right? New technology is better technology because you have more efficiency, right? Efficiency, higher efficiency or better efficiency means you are getting maximum output from minimum investment, right? So why do we go for machines and tools? Because the cost is less and the kind of product that are going to deliver will be more, right? So every business has to look at the new technology and they have to adopt it, okay, so that they get that efficiency. Okay, so we have to, as a business process, okay, I just said, right, you may be great at your work, but if you find something which can replace your work, right, you'll be replaced, isn't it? And that's why it is important for any business to keep looking out for this technology. If you don't adopt it and your competition has adopted it, right, their product is going to be better than yours. And when you say better, it can be multiple ways, okay? Cheaper, good quality, easy to use, easy to operate, right? Some things we buy because it is easy to operate, isn't it? So when I say better, better is in terms of multiple reasons, okay? So you have to have a better product for your consumer, right? So that's the technology. Then partner, right? Unilever cannot sell to us directly. If the Unilever says, no, I don't want to pay money to Walmart, I want to reach out to customers directly. Can they do it? No, obviously no, right? They'll have to set up the retail store, and the cost of setting up retail stores across the country is going to be more expensive than giving to Walmart, isn't it? So you have to have a good relationship with partner. Legal, okay? Obviously, when you are selling something, it has to be legal, right? You have to meet all the legal requirements. Okay. Apart from these, again, you talk about regulatory and political. Okay. These are other constraints, right? If tomorrow, if government decides that, okay, we are going to ban guns, let's say, right? Then all the companies that are manufacturing guns will have to shut their shop, right? They have to switch to something else, isn't it? So as a business, you have to look at this government or political situation, right? Some results are positive, okay, which will help you. Some results are not so positive, it may not help you. Now, you talk about, say, e-vehicles, right? Electronic vehicles. Companies are, governments are trying to give more and more incentives, isn't it? Why? Because government wants people to adopt these e-vehicles, isn't it? So that's like promoting, right? So if you are into that business, okay, you will probably plan to expand your business, right? But if you are in something which government is not supporting, okay, again you have to. So your response has to be in accordance with the political situation. Now there is a regulatory requirement. Okay, so there is a difference between legal requirements and regulatory requirements. Okay, legal requirement is like if you don't follow it, you'll be in jail, isn't it? But a regulatory requirement, if you don't follow it, you will not be in jail. Correct? But you may not be allowed to sell in a certain region. So if the company says that you need to have this kind of certifications to sell in this market, now you manufacture the product without that certification, it's fine. You can sell it in different market. You can make it, but sell it in different product of different market where that certification or that requirement is not there. But if you want to sell in that market which has mandated the certification, okay, you have to follow it. Now if you don't follow it, then it becomes illegal and you'll be in jail, right? So there's a fine difference between regulatory and legal. Okay, you have to do it. Regulatory, it's up to you. If you want, it's like, okay, I want this, right? Now if you fulfill this, you can sell your product in that certain geographies, or certain, mostly geographies, right? So as a business, you have to analyze all these factors. And as a business, you operate constantly under these constraints, right? And if you see that these things are not one-time thing, isn't it? Okay, this is like all continuous basis. So today you are, meeting the requirement. Doesn't mean that tomorrow again you'll be meeting, right? Overnight, if there's change in the rule, you have to make changes to your process as well. Okay. Now, why are we studying this as part of business analyst course is, as a business analyst, these are the things that we have to look at. Okay. So this is important from business analyst perspective because, see, the business, I told you, right? Business process is about, in IT company, it's about the software developers, coders. They code, okay? But as a business analyst, we have to tell them, okay, see, this is what competition is doing. We need to change it, right? This is what is the new technology, right? If you are developing on the old technology and now you talk about cloud computing, right? You have to change, your plan. You need to adopt cloud computing. So you have to tell your team that now we have to move to cloud, right? Most of the companies are moving to cloud. We have to change it. Right? So these are, of course, the constraints, but they're also the drivers. Okay, drivers for business change. Now, if these things don't change, right, the company which is big, now let's say if the technology never changed, today also probably Nokia would have been the number one, right? Selling those Symbian IS or feature phones, we call them, right? They could be even number one. Just because technology changed, there's opportunity for newer companies to come into market and compete with Nokia, right? So it is also, right, if probably, for Nokia it is a constraint, but for, say, Samsung, okay, and other companies, it was an opportunity, right? It's a opportunity for them to do well, right? So so it depends upon you how you treat it as. You treat it as constraint or you treat them as drivers. Okay, but definitely as a business process, you have to constantly look out for these signs, these things, so that you stay ahead of others in the market. Okay, so this is what we study. How we study, we're going to talk about in next few slides. Shall we move ahead? Any questions so far on this slide? By end of today, okay, my objective is to make you understand what BA process is all about, right? And then of course, once you understand what BA is, then of course we can talk about what do we do as a BA. Okay, now coming to IT process as such, um, see earlier, right, when IT development started, most of the projects were run by one single person, right? Somebody started coding and they developed some product and they started selling to the market. Okay, once they became successful, they hired more people, okay, and support and things like that. Again, the demand increased, they hired more software developers to start coding this person, main person. Okay. Now, again, let's say you have done a great work and you are getting more and more customers. Now your business is growing, right? You started with one person, now you become 10%, now you are 100 people company, right? Now again, there's a demand for your product and you want to grow. Right? It is not possible to grow in the same location, right? Because of various things, right? Because you may not find the right talent. You want to hire the best talent across the globe. So you expand it to different cities. Then you expand it to countries across, to different countries, right? So what happened is that, see, when you are only one person, probably you don't need any process, right? You are probably self-disciplined and you are developing. Now you are handling 500 people, 1,000 people. Now when you talk about 1,000 people, it is definitely not easy to manage 1,000 people. You need to bring in some processes in place. Okay. So the IT industry also, when started growing and started having more and more people, the IT product became popular. Okay, they felt the need for process which can help them to manage their internal work, right? So they looked at the construction industry. And so the construction industry is probably one of the oldest, right? Agriculture and construction is probably one of the oldest industry. So they had a process, okay? The PMP, what we call as project management practices, project management, okay, actually has a lot of similarities or historical significance with construction industry. The people in the IT industry started borrowing things from construction industry. So they started developing, okay, the project under 4 headers: plan, build, test, and implement. They said, okay, first, before we start coding, okay, we need to plan what we want to do. Okay, so maybe you'll have one senior person, project manager, or a top technical person who will decide that this is what we're going to do. Okay, and then he will start coding. Okay, oh, this is what I want to. This is what you want. Okay, let me start coding. Okay, so building stuff. Then once you build the code, right, you need to test it. Okay, to make sure that your product does not have any bugs or any problem. Okay. Okay. So first step is to plan, then you code, then you test it, right? Whatever you have coded is correct. Okay. This is the plan and the build the code that you have built is in line with the plan, right? So you test it. And once you're happy with your testing, that's when you go and deploy, okay, at customer side. We call it as implement. You implement it at customer side, okay, the customer that has asked for the product. So simple process, right? Plan, build, test, and implement. This is what happens in customer industry, right? Let's say you want to build a house. So you'll have a plan, okay? You create architecture diagram, right? Shravya knows it very well, isn't it? So, you create a plan, then you start building it and just make sure that everything works. Electricity, water supply, all those things are correctly, working. And then you hand over to your customer saying everything is fine. Here is the key, right? That's the implementation part. But it didn't work for IT industry. IT industry still had problems. Okay. So there's some statistics. I'm not going to get into this. Okay. But the gist of the statistic is that when you look at an IT project, okay, before you begin, right, in the planning stage, you talk about the cost, timeline, right? Okay, so this is what I need to build, okay, plan, and then this is the cost which is going to be, right? This is the cost that you're going to incur, and this is the timeline that we want, okay? In construction industry, if you see, there is hardly any change after you design a house, right? So, you'll talk to your architect, you will probably spend a lot of time. And finally, when you approve it, there's hardly any chance that house design will change, right? So, once you have your perfect plan, okay, execution becomes simpler, right? I'm not saying easy, but yeah, much simpler. Now, if you look at the IT industry, okay, let's say you plan something today, okay, and then what will happen is after 2 months, okay, some new technology has come, something new has happened, okay. Now the timeline that you have planned, or the cost that you have planned, is based on the current situation, what happened today, okay, what is the situation today. But things did change in 2 months time. Now IT industry is not like a construction industry where you cannot demolish the house. Let's say you start building the house. Now the owner says that, I think we need to do some changes there. So the only option is to demolish, right? To break the house. But in IT industry, okay, IT, it's only the software, right? You can add new software. So it is more flexible, isn't it? So people felt that projects are always lagging behind in terms of timeline, in terms of the cost. You're going over budget, okay. So if you see, almost like 50% of the projects, okay, end up costing twice the budget, right? If you say it's going to cost me say $500,000, it actually costed 1 million, correct? So what's the problem? Okay, somebody has to take the hit, right? So now if it is, you quoted, let's say 1 million for a project, assuming that the cost is going to be $500,000, and you're assuming that $500,000 is your profit. When you deliver, you're getting no profit, right? You actually ended up spending all the 1 million on the project, right? So it hit the margins, right? Anything, right? If timeline exceeds, again it hits the margin, right? Because you have to you have people working on this project, you have to pay them the salary, etc. So it hit their margin, right? So people felt that something is missing, okay, something is not right, okay. Of course, plan, build, test, implement work well, but it did not help them to solve some of the problems that they were facing. So okay, what they figured out was most of the problem was linked to planning, okay. Plan would get changed, rightly so, right? Because it is possible, and then you have technology does change, right? So they figured out that most of the changes were in the planning stage, okay. Customer would come saying, oh, this is not what I want, this is not what I told you, okay. And of course, the cost of fixing is higher, right? So if let's say deployment didn't work, you have to redo the deployment, right? So the deployment cost is is duplicated. But let's say if something goes wrong with the testing, you didn't test, you have to test it again, isn't it? And then deploy again. So the cost is now testing plus deployment. Something doesn't go well in development, you have to develop, write the code again and test again and deploy again, right? So it is, so as you are going back in the process, right, earlier and earlier and earlier, you see that the cost of redoing is increasing, isn't it? And they figured out that most of the error is because we did not have plan properly, okay. And when you don't do plan properly, it is very expensive, right? Probably the most expensive thing is to fix the plan thing, right? So okay, customers or the software developer, right, not customer but the software developers, they started feeling the need for what we call as the voice of customer, or what customer wants. They say that we are doing the planning, but is the planning in accordance with what customer want? Okay, and they started talking about, you know, two new phases called as describe and define. So describe is about describing the current process, what the new process is about. Define is defining the solution around it. Okay, so for anything, and now I'll give you example of this course itself, right? Okay, so for this course you have plan. Planning is the course structure, right? Course schedule, the course structure. Build is attending this training, right? And then you will test yourself. Okay, have you understood all the concepts or not? Okay, do you need any, do you have any doubt, any question that you need to ask? So you're testing yourself, and once you're satisfied, yes, that yes, I know all the concept, now I'm ready to face the market. That's when you will implement your skill in the market. That means you'll start attending the interview. But the question is this course right for you? Is BA course right for you? Okay, is this what you want to do? Is this what you want to do? The answer could be no, right? Now, if you realize it today, no, I don't want to do BA, right? So your time is saved, isn't it? But let's say you have done all the hard work for next 2-3 months, and then you feel no, BA is not right for you. Then the amount of effort, time, money, and all your effort that you have put in has become waste, isn't it? So same thing with the software development thing. Okay, it is important to get things right first. So in describing, we are describing your current situation or your current problem. Okay, so for this training, it could be that I want to get into software field. Okay, but I don't have programming experience. That could be your describe phase, right, for this training. Okay, I want to get into IT industry and I don't have an IT, no, I don't have IT knowledge, or I don't have IT certifications, whatever, right? So that is your describe. So you're describing your current problem. A problem is that I want to get into this, right? So same thing, you have to describe the problem. Okay, once you understand the problem, right, now you're defining the solution. Okay, before you get into the course, right, this is the pre-work kind of thing. You're thinking, you're analyzing, you're making ready for getting into a execution mode, right? So once you define the problem, then you say, okay, now I need to uh, uh, define my solution. What do I want, right? So you feel, okay, based on the various requirements, okay, the market looks like BA is a good fit. Okay, BA doesn't require me to do coding because I don't know, I don't want to do coding. So that's the thing. But with knowledge of BA and with the knowledge of IT process, which does not require me to know the details about software, right, can help me to get into this domain. So you're defining the solution. Defined solution is also done by you, right? And of course, if you have any questions, you ask your faculty, you ask your friends, colleague, family members, right? And then you say, okay, now I decided that I need the BA knowledge, right? So why you need is describing. What you need is your BA knowledge. Now you're enrolled for a company, and the company will. So what I'm doing for you is the project management. What you've already done is business analysis. It's all about what customers want. Okay. Now, if you talk about a software perspective, okay, can you try? Tell me. Can you think of a software that you have used before? And it could be any software, right? As simple as a Word document. And can you define, these different stages for that software? Shravya, Jhansi? Want to take an attempt? Any software. It could be a simple software, no problem. See, when you have used a software, that means you felt the need, was a requirement for the software. Okay. So let's see if you can think of and you can tell me. Make an attempt. Okay. I always say this. Get in a class. Okay. In class, you can make mistake because we are all here to learn, right? You should not think about, oh, I may be wrong. Okay, if it is 100% wrong, also I don't care. Okay, but I want you to make an attempt. Okay, and that too without fear. Okay, what will happen? Okay, we are all learning here. Okay, so even if you say something which is silly, it is understood, right? Because if you had known about it, why would you have joined this course, isn't it? So be shameless in that way. Okay, talk about it. More you talk, more clear you'll be about understanding. Because see, if you, I told you this also before, and you would have seen that whatever I spoke, right? Am I telling something which probably doesn't make sense? No, it's logical, right? Everything that I told is logical. It makes sense, isn't it? But we need to remind ourselves, right? So that's what I was saying, that when you hear me talk about it, you will say, yeah, it's so easy. If we take a couple of examples, okay, if you don't give, then I will take. Okay, you'll say, yes, it makes sense. But when you have to do it right, then you will feel the challenge. Okay, so go ahead and try. Don't worry about it. If it's wrong or right, it doesn't matter. Still, you don't want to try? Okay, I'll count 3 and let's see if anybody is speaking. 1, 2, okay, 3. Okay, no worries. So, let me try. Okay. So think of a software asset, right? It could be as simple as a Word document. Let's talk about a Word document. Okay. So can you describe the problem which the Word document is trying to solve?
Sorry, my kids are doing mess, so I just went out. So what's your question again?
Yeah, my question is, I spoke about describe and define, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start plan, build, test, implement. And I just give an example of, you guys planning for this training, right? So you must have thought about it. Okay, what should I do? How do I get into IT field? Okay, that's what you describe. And then you say, okay, I need to learn BA. That is the define. Okay, you have defined the solution. So similarly, can you tell me the reason, describe, define for, let's say, a Word document or any software that you have used?
Mm-hmm. So I learned maybe, for example, I can use Excel.
Mm-hmm.
So I work as an environmental analyst. If a sample come, we use Excel for everything. Like we every day we enter how many samples are there, how many we done, how many we need to done after Sunday. We got like turnaround time. Like some samples we do it in half an hour. Some samples we need to do it in 14 days. So all of them we use Excel for which sample is done, which sample is not done, when we need to send the sample result, like that.
Correct.
We need
So,
to
but
report.
then see, the question I'm asking here is,
Uh-huh.
okay, why are you using Excel, right? You could have done it manually, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what is the problem that you're trying to solve by using Excel?
So it takes long time, and there are a lot of people in our office, right? So one sample, different people gonna do analysis with one sample. Who gonna like, if I do something and somebody did it or not, how I know? But the you understand what I'm telling, right?
Correct. You're on track. Yeah.
Yes. So for that we use the Excel.
So see,
Like if.
what you're saying is
Mm-hmm.
there's too much of data, okay,
Yeah.
and you are not able to handle it, okay,
Yeah.
on time. You're always delayed. Maybe there's some inaccuracy that creeps in, right? So you felt the need of a tool which can help
Mm-hmm.
you to handle a lot of data, right? Different
Mm-hmm.
kinds of data, different volume of data, right? So
Yeah.
that was the problem. And then you said, okay, can I use calculator? No, calculator doesn't make sense. Can I use Excel? Yes, it makes sense to use Excel because I can put the data, I can get the data in Excel format, and then I can apply formula directly on the Excel, and I'll get my answer. So that's the define. You know that, oh, I need Excel. Now probably you will learn Excel, you will build the model, you will try to get the data. That is the next steps. Okay, but this is crucial. Defining is crucial because let's say you say, okay, I think I need to use notepad. Okay, and probably notepad is anyways, let's say free, but let's say you have to pay money for notepad. Paid money and you got notepad, and now you see that no, you can't do anything in notepad. Right? So
Yeah.
your definition of the solution itself is wrong, and when definition is wrong, you cannot proceed any further, right? And even if you proceed further, it's a waste of time and effort, right? So it is important to define the problem rightly. Okay, the more accurately you define, more easy it becomes, or more better it becomes. Okay, to solve. And again, I'll give you this example here. Now, let's say you decide that you want to do BA, okay, and then later you decided that no, BA is not something which is relevant for you. Now, the efforts that you have put in, right, has all gone waste, right? Now, it doesn't matter, um, you know, how well, okay, is your trainer, how good is the course material, okay, but that's not something that you wanted, right? But let's say that, oh, BA is something that I wanted to do it. Now, even if your course instructor is not great, let's say it's 8 on 10, okay, the material is not so good, even then you will be in a better position to face interview after the BA course, right? Because you have so much. Okay, I understand the business process is important. It's important to get it 90% right, but at least you're 60, 70% ready. But if you get it wrong, if you get into the wrong class, you are 0% ready, even though you understood everything, but then that's not what you want to do, right? So it is important for us. It's like, you want to watch a comedy movie, right? But you ended up in an action movie. Even the action movie can be a great movie, one of the best popular movie, but that's not what you want. It's not going to entertain you, isn't it? Because that's not what you wanted to first place. But if you want, if it's comedy movie and movie is even not great, but to a certain extent you'll be entertained because you wanted to attend a comedy, you want to watch a comedy movie. So what I'm trying to give you different examples is that getting or defining the solution is critical. Okay, if you define it wrong, doesn't matter how well you do plan, build, test, implement, it's not going to give you the right result. Okay, and this is what is crucial for us for BA to get this definition correct. The software development team is dependent, entire team is dependent on you as a single person to give them right instructions and tell them what they need to build, right? You need a chair to sit, but you want a table. It doesn't matter how great table is, it doesn't matter how much you paid, right? Maybe at lowest possible cost, you got the best possible product, but that's not going to be helpful, right? You wanted a chair, not a table, isn't it? So, defining the problem is so important. That is what we say, what customers want. Okay, defining solution is about customers want, and later when we get deeper into it, we'll change it to customer need. Okay, it's not about what customer want. Okay, I'll give you another bad example. Okay, bad examples are great to connect with, and then you'll be able to get good examples. Okay, now when you go to a restaurant, there's some waiter who will simply come and note down, okay, what do you want? Okay, ABC, okay, ABC, go get ABC for you. Okay, some waiter will ask you a question. What do you like? You like sweet, you like salt, you do like, you like spicy. They'll ask you multiple questions and then they'll suggest you try this. Okay, which waiter will you like? Which waiter is doing his or her job, in a good manner?
The person who asked me what you like
Correct,
sweet,
right?
salty, yeah.
Correct. Because as a restaurant, they have 50 offerings, or 30 offerings, or 100 offerings. Okay, but not if all 100 are same, right? They are different. So the person is trying to understand what is your problem in this case, right? What you want to eat, right? And then they'll say, okay, this is what is good for you, right? It may not be great, but it is definitely something that you will be of some interest. But instead, if the person has got food which probably you don't like it even 1%, right? So so BBAs are like, okay, or we should be like the second type of waiter. I always give this example. Now you know what you're expected to do. You're not expected to go with pen and paper saying, okay, of course you need to go with pen and paper, but not okay just to note it down. Okay, okay, what do you want? ABC, I'll get ABC. No, you have to talk to customer and suggest. See, ABC is works well when you are frequent to that restaurant. Okay, you have tried most of it and you know what you want, right? When you know what you want, you say, oh, don't worry, I know what I want. I want ABC. Because you have been there, you know what you want, you have ordered, right? Seldom this happens in software industry. See, the reason you are going for a solution is that you have a problem. So if you have a problem, okay, then how is that possible that you know the solution? Okay, right? Each problem is different, isn't it? So it is not possible for you to know the solution beforehand, right? This is what happens. So, most of the time, okay, it is you have to follow the second approach where, you know, as a business analyst, our job is not to meet customer want. Okay, I have want here, but later I'll change it when we get into the requirements space. I'll tell you it is about customer need. Okay, sometimes, okay, uh, customer may not know what they want, right? Because they have not seen the solution, right? Once they get into solution, they say, oh no, okay, this is also possible. Oh, I want that, right? So that's why it is our job to find exactly what customers needs are, okay, what they want to get delivered. Of course, if when you are asking this, no, no, don't worry about it, I know what I'm ordering, then you'll keep quiet. Then it's okay, since you know what you want, I'll get you what you want, right? So same thing happens in software development also. If a customer says that no, I know what I want, then of course you give them what they want, right? In that case, you won't get something else. Okay, but most of the times, okay, 100%, I would say, 99.999% of the time, they are looking up to us to suggest them, right? And that's where it is important for them to, okay, or for us to tell them in the sense customers, what is important for them, okay, from this IT project. Okay, this is crucial. Okay, this is what I want to understand. This is the all the processes, all everything that we'll do from now on is to satisfy the customer's need, which is at step 2. Once you get this right, okay, plan, build, test, implement is job of the project managers. Okay, and of course it's a different circumstances, right? It's different things. Okay, but it will be better if you are able to tell your developer team what to build. Okay, so there is an overlap between BA and PA. PM stands for project manager. Okay, and BA stands for business analyst. So project manager, PM, manages the project. Okay, BA manages the product. Now, can you tell me the difference between product and project? Whatever you understand. Whatever you think.
I think product is the end, like end solution or end result. The project is the total um, process or the total what do you say? The entire process, I think so.
Okay. So, okay. So you see, that's what I want. I want you all to think whether it's right or not. Okay, that leave that to me, right? But yes.
Okay.
So yeah. So yes. Okay. So there is a slight change. Product probably you are 50% right, but yeah, not about projects. See, projects are time bound. Okay. Now, when I say time bound, it doesn't mean it's hours or days. It could be years, right? When you build a metro train, when you build a dam, it could be 5 years, right? 10 years project, but still there's a timeline associated with it. Projects are always timeline associated, and you know what you want to deliver in project. Okay, so when you do the planning, okay, you are very clear of what you want to do, right? So projects, okay, have clear objectives, okay, and they are time bound. Okay, so you know what you want, and within so much time you deliver it. Okay, but if you look at the product, it is not just the end thing that you said, as you said, but it's also about the start. Okay, now product, okay, is end to end. Okay, right from ideation stage. Okay, right from you thinking that I have to go back to the work. Okay, I have to go back to the work, or let's say if you're already working, I have to switch my job. That itself is the start of the product. Now, whether you said no, right now probably my kids are young, let me wait for the 6 months. So you have killed the product there, but you have thought about it and you killed it. So your product probably was like may not have seen the world, and also the lifetime was probably just an hour, right? You thought about it and you killed it. Now it could be that you decided I want to do this, and then you have taken the first step of doing research, talking to your people, friends, family, and trying to do about certain course. You inquire, see, entire team, and till your objective is met, right? Till you get new job. So entire thing is the product. Okay, till the idea came to your mind that I have to look for a new job, till you get the new job. So entire thing is product. So product is entire thing. Many times we don't see the end goal, right? Many times you start doing a product, and some of you say, oh no, this is very expensive, or this is not possible, not feasible. You'll stop it, right? So you can stop it before it realizes it has seen the what do you call the daylight, right? Or sometimes your product is great, you are doing it, and after certain time, if you talk about any software product, right? If you talk about, let's say, Excel, right? Excel, okay, they deliver, and you have different versions of Excel, right? So they develop, they launch it, they plan for it, and then they launch it, and they'll say, okay, from 2022 we are not going to support it, right? You'll have, you can still use it, but we are not going to support it. If you want support, you have to buy XYZ version, right? The product will have longer shelf or shorter shelf. You cannot predict. Okay, you cannot predict whether your product is going to be successful. You cannot predict the lifetime of a product. As I said, right, it could be for a few minutes to few years, few days, right? But when you do the project, everything is clear. The objectives are clear. The timeline is clear. Who will do it is clear. There's so much certainty which is involved with project, but not with product. Okay, product can be uncertain. Okay, product is never certain, right? You don't know. You're thinking the product is doing great. Suddenly, competition came out with another product, and you have to take it off from the market, right? Possible. So, and when you're working on the product, you might end up working with multiple projects also, isn't it? One product can have multiple projects, isn't it? So, project of, let's say, choosing the best course. Project could be choosing the best institute where you are making, probably you'll speak to 3-4 people, and then you'll pay money at one, right? So that can be a project of finding best possible, institute which you like, right? Training is a project, right? We have our own goals defined. okay, it doesn't guarantee the job on the last day of the project, right? It can take you maybe a day or a week or maybe a month to get a new job, right? So the moment we say training is done, that's the end of a project, right? We had the objectives, we know the syllabus, and we are following that syllabus. So there's a certainty in it, right? When you say 30 hours or 40 hours, there's certainty into that, right? So product is very uncertain. You cannot predict. Okay, it involves multiple projects, but projects will always have objective. You know what you want to do, right? You know how much time it's going to take. You know how many people are required, and then you deliver the project. Okay. Now, I want you to do this exercise now. Okay. The exercise is look at the job description. Okay, which you want to get into later, right? So probably you will browse through various job portals, right? Like Indeed and other job portals. Just go through it and you see, oh, this, just search for business analyst job. One more problem with business analyst is that the term is very broad in the sense, okay, there are a lot of things that happens on the business analyst. Okay, I'm sure you search for first 5 jobs that you will see, you may not even find even one similarity between them. Possible, right? Some people might want somebody who is more experienced software process to be hired, right? They'll mention that, business analyst, but they want somebody experienced with software practices. Some people might want somebody with, let's say, pharmacy background, right? Because it's a healthcare project. Somebody might say that, okay, we want somebody with this kind of skill set, right? So depending upon the job profile, they'll ask, and and this is one field, okay, where see, when you want to get hired as Java developer, you know that you need to learn Java, right? Of course, Java has multiple topics, so which you want to learn, which you want to leave out, okay, that will be there. But when you say business analyst, you don't know. It could be data analyst, it could be business analyst, it could be IT analyst, it could be a domain analyst, it could be multiple things. So go through those different job portals. When you read through it, some jobs will say, yes, this is what I want. Okay, copy that. I'll tell you what all things to copy. If you feel, no, this is not what I want and this is not what I want to get into, ignore such job posting. Okay, this is what I know, or even I want to get into. That also is good enough. Okay, you may not know as of today, but by reading, you say this is what I want to do, right? So you find at least 10 such job postings, 10 to 12. Okay, copy the requirements. Okay, they'll mention that we need people with this domain background, this knowledge, this. So copy those things in your Excel. Okay, and go do this with all the 10, 12, 15 job postings that you have found. Okay, when you're pasting it, leave out things which are similar. Okay? There's no need to point or no need to paste something twice, right? So keep posting the unique thing. Okay, you might get a list of 20 or 30 or 40 possible, right? It could be more than 40, it could be less than 20. Once you get that list, right, that is your starting point. Okay, these are the things that you need to build in order to be a successful BA. Correct? Step 1. Step 2 is you rate yourself. Things which you have already done, right? So you will put cross or tick or whatever you want. It's putting cross is easy, right? Typing X is easy, so you can type X there, right? Crossing. And once you are done with the entire thing, right, then you see how many crosses you have. Of course, out of 30, probably you might have 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 maybe, right? Even 10 is too high. So it means that these are the 30 requirements, 30 things that you have to learn. But right now, as of today, only 3 things. Okay, so do this, then again revisit this after we are done with the course. Right? So out of 30, today you got only 3 correct, or 5 correct, or 10 correct. But after when I say our course is finished, our course is done, that's when you go back and cross again. Okay, maybe in second column. This time you should be able to cross more than what you crossed earlier, isn't it? Of course. But you should be able to cross at least 90% of the stuff. Okay. Then you take that Excel to me and you say that, okay, you whatever you said, I understood 90% of my requirement. That's your requirement, right? And Shabia can have different requirement than Jhasia, very much possible. So you come up with this and you say that, okay, I've gone through this entire thing, but I think you have covered only maybe half of the topic or one particular thing, or or I don't know. I know you covered it, but I don't remember. Can you help me to explain it again? So that will test, okay, your preparedness, your readiness for facing the market. Okay, so and this time I said that after 30 you should be able to mark at least 20, 25, right? The rest 5 or 7 or 10 that you have, you bring it up to me, okay, or in the group, saying that these are the things which I need help with. Okay, so it's like calling it identifying the gaps. Okay, so you want to become a business analyst, and business analyst requires 30 skill set, but you have only 3 of them, right? So you are probably 3 but 30% ready, right? But when you get 25 of 30, that means now you are 25 by 30% ready. Of course, 25 by 30% is better than 10 or 5 or 12 or whatever by 30, isn't it? So this is what I want to do, and this is what we do when we do a project. Okay, we also understand the requirement and we find the gap. Okay, so these are 10 things you need. Oh, we don't have these 2 things. Okay, let me give you these 2 things, right? It happens in any such discussions or business transactions. So I want you to do that for your job posting. Okay, did you understand? Is it clear?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Did we start recording? I think yes, we start. Okay, so we'll take some time for me to share the recording. Okay, you'll have it ready, and yes, if you understood, maybe we'll take one more slide and then we will end this discussion today. Okay, this is good slide to end our discussion. As a business analyst, okay, as I said, your job is to determine the business need. Okay, and I have already stressed enough on this point why it is important, right? If you get it right, probably you will even if you do not get support in the subsequent processes, still you will end up getting something which is important, right? Which is something which can be helpful. But if you do not get it right, it doesn't matter how well you do other things, it's not going to help you, right? Now, as a business as a business analyst, you need to, first step is to find the business requirement or business, what do you call as pains, hopes, fear for a business, right? Any business for that matter. If you see, even company like Apple, okay, Apple is someone who can demand any price for its handset, right? And people are willing to pay any price. Even that company needs to innovate every day, right? They cannot say, okay, now we are the #1, let's rest for next 5 years, right? If they plan to rest for 5 years, somebody else will take over, and they will not be preferred brand that they are today, right? So there's always that fear for say for Apple, that if I don't innovate, if I don't bring out some better product, somebody else will bring out a better product and I will lose my market share, right? So it's a fear for them, right? Whenever when you're at top, you have a fear of losing your top position, right? So they need business analysts for helping them to stay at the top. Okay, I'm going to say why everybody needs a business analyst. Okay, so top company, which is already doing great, they also need business analysts because they are afraid of small companies taking over and losing the the market that they have. Okay, so they need business analysts. Okay, there's a big company, but now they are not, right? Nokia. Okay, so they're going through a pain. They have a pain that they were once the leading player, but now they are not. So they have lost something. They are, they have pain, right? That's the pain. So how can business analysts help them to reclaim their lost position? Okay, or mitigate that pain kind of situation. Okay, so you have pains, then you have hopes. See, whenever a small company starts, right, startup, right, they don't create startup just to make a startup, right? They have a hope that one day the company is going to be big, right? They have a hope that one day company is going to be big, isn't it? So smaller companies has hope. Okay. Of course, problems, opportunities. Problem is that your business process is not efficient. The customers are complaining about your business process. They're complaining about the how tedious or how difficult it is to work with your software. So that's your problem, right? Opportunity is government has opened a sector saying that okay, you can have foreign investment in this, or okay, government has called for something which will help you to sell more. That's an opportunity, right? And same way you'll have mandate. Government says that no, you have to do this, right? If the regulatory requirement is that you have to do the certifications, you have to do the certification. So your business need can come from variety of things, okay? Pains, hopes, fears, problems, opportunities, mandate, etc. Right? These are the reasons why, as a business, you constantly look out for improvement. Right? Again, tying it back to the first slide that we discussed. So because of pains, fears, opportunities, etc., you have understood or you have come up with your list of business needs. Okay, now you have the business need. Then that itself is not ready, right? This is not enough, right? You have to analyze what companies are doing, right? It could be okay. So you have a problem, right? But ultimate thing is that how to find a solution, right? How will you find solution? So you look around what companies are doing, right? Maybe companies in your domain, right? Let's say if you're already a leader, you probably look at companies other domains similar to your business segment, right? It is very common if you see people from airlines hiring people from hotel and resorts, and people from hotel and resort hiring people from airline industry. Very common. They are different, but they're very similar. So it could be from similar segment, or you come up with your own innovative solution, right? If you want to be a leader, you have to come up with innovative solution, right? Not depend on somebody else. So it could be any one of these, right? And then your business problem that you have identified, the business need, along with the requirements, we call it. Okay, you combine them, you get a solution. Okay, it's not yet implemented. Okay, I'm not talking about the solution which is implemented and ready for use, because from now on the developer will take it over and they will deliver it, the working condition. But getting it right on paper is important, and this is what you will be doing as a business analyst day in, day out. Look at the need, okay, come up with requirements and propose a solution which is approved and signed by your customer for whom you are delivering the solution. Any question so far? Okay, then you have a textbook definition. Okay, and I promise this will be our last slide. So this is textbook definition. Just like you have PMI, which is supposed to be the most respected organization or institution which manages the project management practices, best practices, and things like that, certifications, etc. We have IIBA.org, okay? International Institute of Business Analysts. They are one of the most respected, probably the most respected, resource, or you can say the website in business analyst domain. They come up with new best practices. There's different kinds of requirement. Okay, and they also launched this book called as BABOK. Okay, BABOK means Business Analyst Book of Knowledge. Okay, so they come up with this. Okay, and as a business analyst, you should visit this website today itself. Okay, and understand different components. They do certifications, not training. They do certifications as well, right? So you can take up certification on the exams that you are eligible for. So no doubt, BIIBA.org is the most popular places for resources for business analysts. So what they have done, they have given a definition for business analyst as well as for business analysis, the process or the subject. Okay. So what it says is business analysis is a set of tasks and techniques. Very clear. It's a set of tasks and techniques. So you know what you can expect in future sessions, right? We are going to talk about different tasks that we perform and different techniques that are used to perform those tasks. So we're going to talk about tasks and techniques, okay, used to work as a liaison. Work as a liaison. Liaison means something that is going to connect, right? Two different groups, two different teams, two different requirements, right? So what are those two things? Liaison among stakeholders, okay? So the first person that you're going to liaison is the stakeholders. And what are the stakeholders? Or why two stakeholders? Because to understand the structure, policies, and operations. That means what your stakeholders need, right? And to recommend solutions that enable the org to achieve its goal. Recommend solution to whom, right? So here you see it's a liaison. This is a business analyst is a liaison. It's person that connects business or the stakeholders with the software development team who's going to perform the solution or deliver the solution, right? So business analyst is person, you see here circle, on the left you have business, on the right you have technology. So you bring, as a business analyst, you bring business and technology together. That's why it is important for us to know both the language of business and language of technology. Okay, and they say that any person who does whatever we mentioned above is called business analyst. Okay, so it doesn't matter what your title is, business analyst, enterprise analyst. Okay, it doesn't really matter. But if you are someone who is bringing technology and business together, you are a business analyst. Shall we stop here for today? Yes, no?
Yes.
Any question before we end?
I have one question.
Yes.
Do we really need to know about the software side, like the languages?
No, not at all. Okay, but you should know the process. Okay,
the basic.
What are the and that's anyway is covered in the syllabus. To know how people approach the delivery of the code. We are not about talking about the code, but the process, right? Who are developers, who are project managers, what is the role of developer, project manager, what they do, how the output is given as input to the business, all those things we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, can we get the PDF and the recording?
Oh, yes. I will do that.
Okay, and when will be the next class?
Monday. Monday, same time.
Okay, Monday.
So Monday to Friday, same time.
Okay.
Okay, how many classes is going to be?
So we'll take about a couple of months, okay? I'm hoping that we should be able to finish up between around 25 classes. Okay. Yeah, so 25 classes, maximum 30 classes. So 5 classes per week, maybe around 5 to 6 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it will be better. The classes continuously happen,
Yeah, it'll happen. Okay. If I'm not well, or that could be the only reason why class will not happen, and I don't see that. Okay. So we'll have continuous classes. We should be able to wrap up in 6 weeks.
Okay. Okay then.
Okay, then. Have a good Friday and weekend ahead. We'll see you on Monday, same time. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.